The hand came out of the mirror like it had always lived there. Pale, cold, and wet as river glass, it pressed through the rippling surface and reached for Sarah's wrist. She stumbled back, scooter squeak breath in her throat, and slammed into the tent pole. The calliope music outside sped up, bright and wrong, a carousel tune run through a broken speaker. For a heartbeat she saw him in the glass, the tall man in the top hat, teeth too white, eyes too far away to be eyes at all, smiling like he was welcoming her to church. "Welcome to the show," he said, but his mouth didn't move. The mirror spoke for him. The hand flexed, waiting. Sarah did what any 19-year-old from a small Midwestern town would do when she wanted to prove she wasn't scared. She reached back, slapped the cold fingers away, and bolted through the flap into the fog. Only then did the fear land. She had come alone to the old fairground off County Road K, the one with the bleachers sinking into weeds and the ticket booth boards tagged with hearts and last names. Tyler, her older brother, had dared her, half dare, half worry like always. "If you hear the music," he'd said, "don't go. Text me. I'll come get you." But the text didn't go through. The signal bar on her phone went empty, gray as a sky before snow, then the battery fell from 90% to 0 in one blink and died. The air tasted like kettle corn and rain, and the fog rolled in off the river as if a door had opened in it. The sign had lit on by itself. Bulbs popped to life one by one like fireflies finding each other in the dark. Circus tent Carnival of Lost Souls, one night only circus tent. Her mom used to tell stories about this place when the town fireworks finished and the smoke blew across the Little League diamond. Her dad called them tall tales, but he still locked the back gate every fall and left the porch light burning. People said the carnival came back every 13 years. People said it chose who could see it. People said you paid for your ticket with whatever you wouldn't miss until it was gone. Sarah didn't believe in that. She believed in cross-country practice at 6 a.m., in the taste of gas station coffee when your hands are still numb from steering at dawn, in TikToks of creepy places that turn out to be their own kind of museum. She believed in proving you could walk into a story and come back laughing. But the hand in the mirror wasn't a video filter. The hand had been cold. She pushed deeper into the lanes, not because she wanted to but because the fog behind her had gone thick and white like packed snow, solid. Strings of lights looped above, the cheap carnival kind you can buy by the spool at Home Depot, only these hummed like bees and burned colors that didn't exist on the shelf. Tents breathed, sides puffing then settling like sleeping things. The Ferris wheel turned with no sound, a rib cage against the sky. "Ty," she said just to use his name like a charm. No answer. Only the hiss of the fog on the bulbs and the silly bright jingle of the calliope that made her think of kids running under bleachers with red tongues and sticky hands. She passed a ring toss game with empty stools and rows of old glass bottles colored the sea green you see in antique stores. On the shelf behind sat prizes that made her skin crawl, porcelain dolls painted to look almost like people she knew from high school, a little league trophy with no team name, a stuffed bear whose fur moved against the nap like something breathing beneath it. The sign above the counter read, "One ring wins." In small letters below, "Everyone wins something." "Nope," she told the fog. The music rose. 100 feet away, lit by a strand of bulbs that buzzed like summer crickets, the carousel spun slow. The horses were carved with the kind of care only a person with a lot of winters and not enough friends could give. Mouths open mid-neigh, manes in long frozen waves. Every saddle shone. Somebody had painted tiny stars on the gold poles, each star with 13 points if you counted. The mirrors on the center panel showed too many angles at once. Over there, over here, and when she looked at herself the reflection blinked before she did, the way it had in the tent. "Absolutely not," she told the air and kept walking. Past the carousel a cotton candy machine whirred, its metal bowl slick with blue sugar that never quite became a cloud. Next to it, a kettle corn drum popped with no one cranking. The sweet burnt smell wrapped her and made her think of county fair Thursdays, of her mom holding a styrofoam cup of lemonade with both hands like she was cold and her dad throwing plastic rings at beer bottles and pretending he didn't care if he missed. The ache in her chest surprised her with its oldness. "You made it," a voice said to her left and she flinched so hard her shoulder hit a post. A boy stood there, no, a man about her age, maybe a handful of years older. Tall, in a varsity jacket from a school she didn't recognize, hair that might have been red before the fog washed it out. His grin was sheepish in a way that felt like the Midwest. "I didn't plan this. I'll hold the door anyway." "Who are you?" Sarah asked. "Evan." He nodded like someone who still remembered to be polite in the dark. "You see it too." "Hard not to," she said, though every part of her wanted to say she didn't. "Is there, like staff? Somebody running this?" He shrugged. They run themselves. You from here? Estes Park, she said, and he whistled softly like that meant something. You? Larned, he said. Kansas. That's not here. Carnival goes where it wants, he said. Sometimes it grabs people from their own places. I think it likes a crowd. He said it like he'd been here a while. There was a smear of sugar on his sleeve and a paper wristband on his wrist that she hadn't seen go on. What is this? She asked, sharp now. He looked toward the Ferris wheel and then back. Don't eat anything. Don't make a deal. Don't take a ticket unless you mean it. Her laugh came out too loud. Thanks, Pinterest. I'm serious, he said, and the grin slid off his face. When did you hear the music? An hour ago. She thought of the mirror hand. The House of Reflections. Don't go in there, he said quickly. You'll see what they want you to see. Or what you hope you won't. I already did, she said. He winced. Okay. Then stick with me. Why? Because I don't want to be here alone anymore, he said, and the simple honesty of it landed. And because you look like you came to fight, and that's the only kind of person who gets out. Sarah almost said there's no out. This is a pop-up with too much fog machine. But the air around Evan had the same charge as the bulbs, the tiny hum of a battery somewhere you can't find. And he looked tired in a way that suggested he hadn't been inside his own home for longer than he wanted to count. Fine, she said, and they walked. They passed a fortune teller tent, its flap tied back with a red ribbon. A woman sat inside at a small table with a deck of cards and a glass globe that held a storm. Her hair was black as midnight inside a barn, piled high with pins that caught the light. She didn't look up when they paused, only said, "Time's a circle unless you cut it," in the tone of someone reading off a receipt. "We're good," Sarah said, and the woman smiled without changing her mouth. They crossed under a banner that read Funhouse in letters that meant the opposite. The fog cleared for 10 feet and showed a row of game stalls. In one, a set of milk bottles waited for a ball that never came. In another, rubber ducks bobbed in a trough of water that didn't ripple, each duck painted with an I number, 13, 26, 39, 52, every one a multiple. Farther down, a shooting gallery stood with tin targets shaped like stars and moons. A toy rifle lay on the counter. "Don't," Evan said quietly. "I wasn't going to," she lied, because part of her had thought, if I hit one, something will change. If I win a prize, the rules will go soft. "What do they want?" she asked. "To stay," he said. "To be fed." "Fed what?" He didn't answer. He was looking past her. The man in the top hat stood at the end of the lane, as tall as he had been in the mirror, coat long and red like a flag. His gloves were white. His smile belonged to a billboard. When he tipped his hat, the fog dipped with it, a ripple that moved down the path and around their feet like a dog greeting its owner. "Ladies and gentlemen," he called, though there were only 2 of them in the listening carnival, "welcome, welcome, welcome to the 13th return. Step right up. Tell the house what you came to lose and see what you might gain." "Don't talk to him," Evan said under his breath. "He'll put a price tag on anything you let him touch." "I'm not buying anything," Sarah said. The man strolled closer, boots not making a sound. "But you came to see," he said, delighted. "And sight is a purchase like anything. You'll be billed at dawn." She wanted to say something clever, something to cut the stage lights down to size, but her tongue felt thick. She watched his eyes and couldn't tell if they were dark or red or both. "You have someone at home who worries?" he said, almost fond. "How old is he?" "My brother," she said before she could stop it. Her mouth, that traitor. "Brothers are good currency," the ringmaster said gently. "A fine collateral, worry, loyalty, the bright ache of childhood summers. We accept those here." "Get bent," Sarah said. His teeth showed. "American to the last," he said with approval. "Refuse first. Negotiate later." The calliope hiccuped. Somewhere a faint cheer rose and fell like a wave, though no crowd stood anywhere she could see. The Ferris wheel paused, then spun again. "Come ride," the man said. "From up there you can see the town sleeping, and every street looks like a line on a map you forgot to read." "Not hungry for vertigo," she said, but her voice shook and she hated that he heard it. He glanced at Evan. "Found a friend?" "Found a witness," Evan said. "Ah." The ringmaster's smile thinned. "The loneliest role." The carousel lights brightened as if someone had put a quarter in the night. Mirrors flashed. Music sharpened. He stepped aside like a maitre d', making way for a reservation he'd been expecting for 13 years. "This way, Miss Carter," he said, and ice ran through her spine at the sound of her last name, the one she hadn't given him. She and Evan moved together, not trusting, turning their backs. They cut left, past the cotton candy that never catoned, past the ducks with numbered eyes, toward a lane where the bulbs hung dead and the fog lay thin. A shadow flickered at the corner of her vision, a girl in a denim jacket like hers, ponytail high, running, then gone. "You saw that," Sarah whispered. "Yeah," Evan said. "They like to show you the shape of leaving." The lane ended at a fence that hadn't been there a moment before. It was the chain-link kind, county issue with a sign zip-tied to it. "Do not enter. County property. Violators will be prosecuted." On the dirt below the sign, barefoot prints crossed from one side to the other and stopped. "I came in this way," Evan said. "It wasn't here. So how do we get out?" A speaker crackled. The ringmaster's voice arrived, crisp like a baseball game on AM radio. "Exits open at dawn. We thank you for your patience." Evan swore under his breath. Sarah's heartbeat felt like it had moved into her throat. "Okay," she said. "Then we last till dawn." "That's the game," he said. "You make it to sunrise, you walk. You trade, you leave sooner. You pay, you get a prize you didn't want." "What kind of prize?" He looked at her in a way that made her skin go cold. "Sometimes a version of someone you love. Sometimes the quiet where a voice used to be." The fog thinned for a second, and she saw a rank of carnival posters pasted to a plank wall. They were hand-painted in the old style, bold letters, bright faces, "Sells the sizzle not the steak." "See the house that remembers. Ride the wheel that never stops. Meet the ringmaster. One night only." Over the bottom corner of one poster, a small white sticker had been slapped, cheap and modern, like someone from now had tried to mark something from then. "Returns every 13 years. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, sudden and violent as a wasp. She fumbled it out. The screen lit for the first time since the sign. One bar, top left. One notification, top center. "Tyler, where are you?" "I'm coming." "Ty," she breathed and typed back with thumb-quick speed. "Don't. Stay home." "I'm okay. Call him." She hit send. The bar blinked out. The message hovered, sending, then failed. The speaker crackled again. The ringmaster sounded like he was smiling. "Texting and walking is dangerous, Miss Carter." "What do you want?" she shouted at the fog, anger finally pushing up hard enough to stand on. "Just say it. Stop being cute." "For you to choose," he said simply. "That is always the horror and the mercy of America, isn't it? We give you a menu. You pick the price." She swallowed, Chicago dog mustard burned behind her eyes. "You picked the wrong girl," she said. "I don't buy anything I can't return." "Return policy," he mused. "How modern." He clapped once and the sound came from every direction. "Very well. A free sample then." Lights snapped on all down the lane. The House of Reflections tent sat 2 stalls away, its crooked sign straight now, the flap held open by a red ribbon bow. Inside, the mirrors glowed like water under moon. In the nearest one, a figure stood, tall in a top hat. In the next, a hand reached. In the third, a boy in a varsity jacket watched with a face like someone who had learned not to expect dawn. "Don't," Evan said. But something moved in the fourth mirror that unmade her caution. A shape she knew like the shape of her own thought. Tyler, in the reflection, standing in their kitchen, phone in hand, keys on the counter, jaw set the way it did when he was about to act before thinking. "Ty," she yelled, grabbing the tent rope. The word came back slower, flattened like a record played on the wrong speed. "Ty, why?" In the mirror, Tyler lifted his head as if he had heard her. He looked to the left and frowned. He put his phone down. He picked up the keys. The fog pressed close as a crowd. The mirrors shivered like a pond in wind. "Sarah," Evan said, catching her sleeve. "This is the trick. They show you the thing that makes you step forward. Then he's in the trick too," she snapped, shaking him off. "Or he will be if I let him walk into it." She took one step. The floor under the tent felt like boardwalk wood slicked by salt. The air smelled like the ocean, though the nearest water that big was 1,000 miles away. In the third mirror, the man in the top hat tipped his head. In the fourth, Tyler moved toward the back door of their house, the one that stuck in winter. He set his shoulder to it the way he always did. She could hear the latch in her bones. "Sarah," Evan said again, softer now. "Make it to dawn." She put her palm to the glass. It was cold. It was soft. It did not feel like glass at all. The surface depressed under her hand and held, like the cheek of someone who hasn't slept. Her reflection, the one that had blinked first, smiled wrong, stepped back and left the space for her. Through the mirror she could see her brother step over the threshold at home. She could see the empty fairground behind him. She could see Fog step up from the ditch like a man getting his feet under him. The ringmaster's voice came from the place where her hand met the knot glass. "One night only," he murmured. "Admit one." Her phone buzzed again, a single stuttering pulse, and died. Sarah looked at Evan, at the fear in his face and the stubbornness under it. She looked at the mirrors, at the way each one held a different version of the same lane, like the carnival existed in a stack of slightly wrong worlds and she had wandered into the page between them. She thought of county fair lemonade, her mom's hand around the cup. She thought of Tyler standing on the hood of the car at 17 to watch 4th of July fireworks, shouting the names of the colors. She thought of how small their town looked from the ridge, every house a square of yellow you could cover with your thumb. "Tyler," she said, and pushed her hand farther into the cold. The mirror gave way. The hand from the other side met hers, palm to palm, and held. The lights went out.